Let's take a look at the Show Hide button, breaks, and columns in Microsoft Word. If you're writing a technical paper, it's really imperative that you can exactly control the formatting, the positioning of everything on the page. And to do that, there's some commands that you really need to be familiar with. Let's start with the Show Hide button. It's found on the Home tab. It's this symbol that looks to me like a capital P backwards. The shortcut for this is Control-Shift-8. It's a toggle. Each time you click it, it turns it on or off. And when you click this, you get a variety of these non-printing formatting marks on the page. They show you exactly what you've done in the course of typing your document. For example, each time I press the Tab key, as I'm doing now, I get this small right arrow that shows me I'm moving the cursor, one tab mark each time. When you press the space bar, you get these small dots in the middle of the line. They look much like a multiplication symbol in a mathematical formula. But if, for example, you can't get your word to left align with the margin, perhaps it's because you have some spaces in there, and using the Show Hide button to display these non-printing characters can help you locate that. Paragraph break, that you're all familiar with, of course, it's just the Enter key, and this is the symbol for that. Now, a line break is Shift-Enter. What's the difference between a line break and a paragraph break? Well, in a line break, you're simply moving the cursor to a new line within the same paragraph, and any formatting that's in the paragraph, tab stops, margin indentation, spacing, it applies. You're still in the same paragraph, and it can't be changed after a line break. After a paragraph break, however, you start a new paragraph, you can change these formatting items. What I find peculiar is that the symbol used for a line break, Shift-Enter, is actually the symbol that's used on the Enter key. I would have thought that perhaps this would have been the symbol, but I suspect this is a legacy issue that dates back to symbols on typewriters. A very important break is called a section break, and there's no shortcut key, but you can access it by going to the Page Layout tab and Breaks. Now, under section breaks, we have section break to the next page or section break on the same page, which is continuous. I'm going to add a continuous section break right here. And when I do, here's the symbol that's portrayed. Now, in the next video section, I'll show you how we use section breaks to make major changes in formatting, more than you can do with a paragraph break. For example, you can change the position of your page numbers, top and bottom. You can change your margin sizes on a document. If you have different chapters in a report, you need to be able to use section breaks. It's in the next unit. In order to take a long single column of items and break them into a number of smaller columns, you want to apply what's called a column break. So here, for example, I have a list of farm animals, and I'd like to display these in 2 columns or perhaps 3 columns. So to do this, you want to select only the items that you want to put in the columns. Make sure you do not select what follows below, and you should have something below your last item in the list. In fact, you must, and have typing before it. Select only the items in the list. On the Page Layout tab, Page Setup Group, columns, 1 column is default. Here's 2 columns, and here is 3 columns. You have some other options here under More Columns. So in this Columns dialog box, you get previews of 1 column, 2 columns. Notice the spacing, 3 columns. Now, by default, columns have equal width. That's selected. You can unselect that, and then you could give unique widths to each item if you wanted to. As I'm doing here, I'm making the first column larger, and that makes the other ones smaller. Let's cancel that. Another thing you can do is adjust the spacing, this white space that's between the columns. If you find that some of your words are rather large and they're falling onto the next line, you can increase, or in this case, in my example, you want to decrease the white space, the spacing between columns, to fit your words onto it. The last type of break I want to discuss is the page break, and that's you simultaneously press Control and Enter. When you do so, it starts a new paragraph but on the next page. So for example, I'm on page 9. When I hit Control Enter, it starts a new paragraph on page 10. Now I go back to page 9, we can see the formatting mark associated with a page break.